Every now and then we hear about new technologies finding applications in real estate, especially the deep technologies. For example, artificial intelligence finding an application in sales and marketing and in construction. Virtual reality, augmented reality, finding an application in replacing the physical site visit experiences. And metaverse, creating a completely new virtual reality wherein in today's day and age, digital plots are being sold. And the whole idea for us at Unmarketing was to bring out the opinions of the brightest minds in the industry on what they think about these technologies. And today's guest on our show, Ms. Srishti Mehta, Chief Advisor at Paradigm Realty, is one such person. Now, join us as she shares her opinion on artificial intelligence, metaverse, and blockchain, and everything in between, and gives amazing applications, which, to be honest, any prop tech founder would find amazing to hear and to work on. Be back to Srishti.
Yeah.
Hi Srishti, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi Digvijay, really nice to chat with you.
Yeah, you have had an impressive career, right? Spanning well over 15 years. And while I was going through your profile and your LinkedIn, what really piqued my interest was you moved from securities kind of an expertise to real estate. So what really prompted that and how has been that journey?
Well, I can say thanks to my genes, because my father, he actually started as a construction contractor and then he evolved into being a developer. And so actually three of the siblings, we never wanted to get into real estate. And that used to really irritate my father a lot, because he used to be like, what is this? I mean, why are you guys doing BTech, MBA, and you don't want to go into finance and tech? So in fact, I got into securities post my MBA from SP Jain, and I was there for quite some time, like 4-5 years. And post that, of course, I think the calling was there, and it so happened that, me as well as my younger brother now, both of us are very much into real estate.
Amazing, amazing. So, since you have completed almost 8 years in real estate, right? In that period, you must have, and you are engaged in the strategic planning and everything.
Yes.
So, how have you seen the marketing strategies evolve in that time?
So, if you ask me, of course, since last decade, real estate has evolved drastically in terms of marketing. Maybe 10 years back, it used to be more of mainline, including the outdoors and the typical jacket ads, and going all around, as all about taking probably the whole Western Express Highway, doing the jacket ads in all possible newspapers. That was the way out. But now, if you see, it's completely that pie. I think has shrunk a lot, and mostly everything has gone digital. Because the revolution has been such in the last 4-5 years. If you ask me, the spends have dramatically opposite. They have changed. So if 80% used to be the mainline, probably in 2013-14, now we are seeing it, probably 70 to 80% being digital, and balance 20-30% being mainline. And then mainline to do probably support our CPs, in terms of their efforts in the marketing. Give them surround support through outdoors, through newspaper ads and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's in fact, like, that is the kind of feedback that we have received from all the guests that we have talked to yet, and it's just a validation that you've also observed the same thing, which is amazing. This revolution or this transformation which is going on in real estate marketing. Yeah. So in that time, what would you say is the most impressive campaign that you have seen? It could be of Paradigm itself or of somebody else that you could remember.
Honestly, if you ask me, since past 3 years, everything becomes digital. So what is happening is, how do you validate a campaign if things are only digital, and it's not like a 360-degree approach, which used to be probably in 2013-14. So recently, I seriously don't recollect any of these campaigns, or I can say that wow, that was a campaign.
Yeah.
Not even for us. I would not take that thing and say that we have done anything great in 3 years, because again we are also doing more of digital spend and stuff like that. So probably I'll not be able to give any names to it.
Okay, no issues. I think this is one of the feedback that we also received in our last conversation, wherein the guest was Govind from Insomniacs. So what he basically shared was that everybody in digital is kind of doing the same thing, and now content is going to play a major role in how the marketing on digital now evolves going forward, right? So I completely agree with what you're saying in terms of campaigns and everything that we're seeing on digital, right? So in terms of planning, when you said 70-80% of it falls for digital marketing. So let's say if I give you an amount of 2 crores today, so would you, if within digital or within outdoors, offline, how would you structure those spends for your marketing efforts?
So actually, budgeting is. I have to say, like, it really depends on the type of product, the typology, location, and everything. But if you have to ask me a broader thumb rule, see, majorly, again, 75 to 80% is digital. Now, when I say digital, why I say it that way is because, see, what happens is we work through our channel partners a lot. If you have to ask any brand, the top brand also, they have to do B2B, so even for us, 75 to 80% is channel partners, and the kind of outreach they do, so they need that kind of support also. So we do tend to pay them advanced brokerages, so as to enable them to do a lot of online spend. We give them a head start of say 15-20 days, whereby from our campaign getting live, whereby they can start doing the lead generation. So as to, it doesn't result into any cannibalization. I mean, we can't have our campaigns live at the same time when your Apex CPs are basically, spending on it. So we do facilitate them. And that's why when I say 75 to 80% would be digital, so a lot of would go into, like 20-30% would go into advanced brokerages, which they will be spending on the digital. Taking some sites or doing some kind of lead gen activities on various platforms. Then after that, we have about say 20-30% being spent on account of telemarketing and stuff like that. That is again extended support to the CPs, because they do come with a lot of database. They expect us to support them via database, via the telecalling support. So we, in fact, one of our launches, we had almost 150 telecallers on our site, and it was almost there for 1 month. The whole setup was there for 1 month, whereby the CPs used to come over, sit with the telecallers over the data, get the callings done, get the lead generation done. So we give them that exclusive window. So if I have to put in perspective, so this would be largely 70 to 80% of my digital will go into 30% brokers, advanced brokerages for the digital spend, about 10 to 15% money for the telemarketing budget for them. Then again, CP events will be there, 10-15% goes into that. And then balance that 30-40% which we hold for our campaigns. That's when we get into the picture, and we start spending on our platforms, on the Google AdWords and the social media. And of course, we do also take some mainline support, whether it comes to mainline hoardings in and around the location to support the CPs. And paper ads, some jacket ads, in the split jacket ads in those locations, because going full run in Bombay doesn't make sense, because considering what happens is our locations are primarily in the western suburbs, so the affinity of the buyers in each case is there in these locations. So we don't go for wider catchment areas, so doing full run really doesn't comply with our strategy. But yes, also to add on to that, if you look at the central suburbs, so central suburbs, we saw an interesting, there was an interesting analysis, is that the core market probably sufficed only for 50% of lead generation, and the wider catchment areas, actually almost to an extent of 40%, I can say, wider catchment areas were contributing walk-ins in the central area. So that's when we had to spend, in the full run cases, go all out actually. Yeah, so depends on the typology and location. So
Yeah, you touched on a lot of points within that answer, and I want to take them up one by one. So the first thing being, since you said that you have at Paradigm, you have a very strong relationship with your brokers, with your channel partners, right? So how do you use some sort of a technology like an application or let's say CRM to basically be able to interact with them seamlessly, or is it still how are you using technology to basically improve the engagement with them?
So honestly, we don't have any CP app made as of now.
Okay.
And we actually checked a few CPs before actually looking in that direction. We were definitely inclined to do it when we were trying to build something for the customers. But what we actually got, certain pioneers in Mumbai real estate, they actually did this way back. It so happened that at the face of it, it sounded very exciting, but it wasn't successful. I would not name, but it wasn't successful for one of the developers. So that, as well as feedback from the CPs, we realized that doing say Paradigm CP app will not really that way. All CPs actually, if the problem is, if you look at the Western CP market, they have to attend launches back to back. There are launches everywhere. So if they have to have apps of developers, they'll be flooded with an app box. True. I think they will definitely. So we also got the feedback is that it will not really make any much sense. So we have a sourcing team, we have a strong sourcing team, and we have a proper account management practice. So each of the sourcing member, they have accounts to handle, and that's how the business is done. The B2B works for us with CPs.
Okay. Amazing, yeah. And the other thing that you really touched upon, which was very, very interesting with respect to the central suburb, that the number of site visits, or let's say the quality of leads that you got from the central suburb was almost same as what you got from the surrounding suburbs, right? So what sort of data metrics did you guys use, and are you doing all those analysis? Do you have a dedicated team? Do you use dedicated technology to do that, or how did you come about with those results? Because truly that is something very, very unique that I've not heard up till now, and it sounded very amazing. So would love to know more about it.
Yeah, in fact, if you ask me, my Western area projects, the core market, in fact, gives me 70-80% walk-in. So this was a stark difference from what typically we are used to, right? The lead through the core market.
Exactly.
So of course, so for us to assess, it was a dipstick analysis that we started doing once the project was live, and the bookings which started happening and the walk-ins which started getting generated, as well as our Facebook ads and all. We started increasing the radius and, of course, to improve the qualification and to get the campaign. Initially, we also had kept our campaign very core focused, and then eventually we had to increase the whole regional focus. Yes, so we of course do this work with agencies. They guide us with all the analytics that they receive from these Google platforms and stuff like that. So that's how it works for us when it comes to the digital spend and optimizing and improving your campaign, basically.
Amazing. And one thing that I noticed is, or that you mentioned, was that since you work 70-80% of your sales are basically enabled by channel partners or your broker partners, right? So was this always the strategy at Paradigm, or did you guys basically came up to a point where you realized your customer acquisition cost was very high, and through channel partners you were able to control it or reduce it? Because this is something that we hear a lot in real estate, right? That the customer acquisition cost is constantly increasing.
So I'll tell you, customer acquisition cost again is very, very dependent on the budget Like
Yeah.
if you ask me, the luxury segment, the cost per visit for a luxury customer, when I say luxury customer, it would be at least upwards of 3 to 4 crores. For us, can go in lakhs.
Okay.
Cost per visit. But if you look at the products which are basically kind of affordable, 75 lakhs to 1.5 crore. When we look at our numbers, we do see the cost per visit faring around 15 to 20 grand or something like that.
Of course.
Depends on which location, again, in which micro market. It may be a little higher, in a very less density areas, but with high density areas like Andheri and all those places, this goes off more or less, like it goes down, as opposed to other areas where the population density is not that high.
So in terms of, do you also track it in terms of percentage? Because I can understand for low budget, as you said, it looks lower absolute wise. But percentage wise, it might be same or more.
So if you have, like for instance, what we do is when we say cost per visit, and there is a metric to it.
Of course.
We also assume whatever spend we are going to do and whatever leads that are going to get generated out of it. The site visit ratio could range between 6 to 10% for us. The site visit ratio on the lead generated. That's how we look at. There's one more dimension to look at.
Okay. Amazing. I think this is in fact truly one of the most interesting discussion that I've had around data analytics in the talk yet.
I have a background of being an analyst, that's why.
I know. Perfect match. Okay, so coming to the part of, let's say, the deep technologies that are currently coming into the real estate market, right? For example, the AI, blockchain, metaverse, and other things. So let's start with AI. Have you seen any tools or deployed any tools in any part of your operations, whether sales, marketing, or whatever it is, wherein you have seen an impact of AI, or are you even looking for those kind of applications?
So we have not applied anything as of now, but yes, this dimension does interest us. Like for instance, just simple as like maybe customer service, the post-sale service. If one has to look at, the post-sale CRM. So what I personally believe is AI, if done right by the tech firms and they curate a right solution for real estate players. So, a lot of the bandwidth that gets utilized in post-sale can kind of be bridged, because at the end of the day, customers, they want information. I'll just give you a simple example, a chatbot. I'm not saying it's a AI, but I'm just saying a technology perspective. A chatbot is such a helpful tool when it comes to post-sale also, because a lot of data is receipts, any demand updation, any, all that. Basically, it's a very data-centric kind of a communication. And it can be done very much like it can be a one-way thing, because the system is capable to give that data to customers. So rather than having some kind of customer portals, there could be these WhatsApp chatbots whereby a customer can sign in via OTP, and then that customer can request. There could be 10 drop-down options for inquiring about any kind of thing, about receipt, about upcoming demand or whatever. And these things can be fetched by the customer real time without need of any human on the other side. So that's one thing which I feel, if something can be evolved beyond this, so maybe artificial intelligence there can help real estate developers.
I think if there's no solution in place, people who might be hearing, or founders who might be hearing, might find that to be very, very interesting.
I have a lot of problem statements for real estate. So, I really need a good tech partner. I myself want to make a solution for real estate.
Amazing. Yeah. So coming to the next disruptive technology, which actually had a big impact during the lockdown phase, the virtual site visit experience and the VR and the AR capabilities, right? So did you, as Paradigm, dabble into this, and what's your view about it?
So, if you see 360-degree views of your show apartments and all those things, we immediately did that once the COVID scenario started. And nothing was needed basically. I mean, our support teams basically could do that. So it's a kind of a guided virtual reality, if you ask me. I mean, in a very simple. Augmented reality is it's a very different genre. It can be looked at because there are very different dimensions. Like you can showcase your property to probably an investor or a buyer for that matter abroad, through some links and stuff like that. Those things can be done. Then there is property staging that can really help developers in augmented reality scenario. By, say for instance, we make show flats for all our launches. For every project launch, we do a proper show flat. Now, it takes time to do that work. There's a lot of thought involved in selecting everything and making it pleasing for the buyer. But if suppose augmented reality can have an option whereby your staging can be done if a plan is there of any layout. Suppose a plan is there of a 1-bedroom of one of our projects, and a customer can select the color palette. Customer can select the various finishing options of maybe tiles or sanitary ware or something like that, and we can actually just for the idea of things, like how we do it in the show flats, whereby we actually present the whole show flat with proper look and feel. We can have mood palettes given to them, and they can do it's like how Lego blocks are. They can actually design their own apartment in some kind of augmented reality capability. So that will save cost for developers. In terms of the time also of go to market will be very quick for us. Secondly, spending that much of money for creating the whole setup, and it's a salvage cost for us. Understand, like we have to break down everything eventually, and we don't it's a sunk cost for us that is saved, which I feel it's good. And secondly, you can give a plethora of option to the customers. Like if I want to give different finishes, nowadays what happens is when you select a project, like when you're doing a project, you have to select only one scheme of color. But if you ask me, if we are given an option, I would like to actually offer 2-3 mood schemes to the customer, and depending on what they like, eventually, at the time of buying, they can select their mood palette, and that will be processed into a final order. So a lot of things can be done because of the augmented reality option. I think it will take some time.
So you correctly basically mentioned that there is a maturity timeline. There's a maturity cycle to all these products, all these technologies basically coming into real estate, right? So when do you see these products becoming a plug and play applications for real estate?
I think if you ask me in terms of to start off, I feel for instance, we keep talking about things like you can have the government probably looking into implementing some form of blockchain if they start with something like that. You know why it's needed is the transparency part. So in fact, 1 or 2 state governments in India, Rajasthan, I think, and Andhra Pradesh, they are actually looking at it, whereby the titles, the registered deeds, everything is on a blockchain, and of course there are multiple layers to it. So nobody can, and it's so transparent that anybody and everybody can track any kind of changes and anything done in any of the trail documents. So I think if we governments to take that initiative to get something like that implemented in states. In fact, Maharashtra also, we can actually, if something like that gets initiated by government, it will start the process of getting into this domain of using technology even by the users. I think then that will compel businesses to any which ways, start investing heavier into technology further, whether it is adoption of anything and everything related to a life cycle of customer, the construction of project, everything. I mean, everything can be actually then adopted completely.
Absolutely, makes a lot of sense. But government intervention will help in putting these innovations on a faster track. Absolutely agree with the point. Now, I'm basically going to take a detour to a fancy technology, metaverse and NFTs, right? So, metaverse has recently made a lot of buzz in terms of like plots being sold in virtual reality and stuff, right? So, how do you see that panning out? Is this just a gimmick or a phase, or do you see that becoming a much bigger thing in real estate?
So you know what, I do believe in this metaverse thing. It's interesting. And considering in the West, it's already, I mean, even the corporations like JP Morgan, I think HSBC, they have picked up plots, digital plots or virtual plots.
Exactly.
And they do intend to do something out of it in terms of making experience centers in metaverse and having some conferences, or I don't know. I mean, they have started moving towards that direction, and I think it is interesting because there is an aspiration value for everything in this world in today's age.
True.
Considering the fact, if you look at the way the digital revolution has happened today, influencers are the ones who probably make more money than these celebrities because of their followers and because of
very true.
The kind of outreach they have, and their outreach is completely very related to the subject that they promote. So fashion influencers would have fashion related people, stock investors following some influencers would have some real estate influencers. You look at real estate influencers today, you have each of them having 2 to 3 lakh followers already, and it is amazing to see that, especially only Bombay based influencers I'm talking about. So basically I think metaverse, people will start foreseeing that let's have some land, digital land or a virtual land. Say, for instance, for example, just a very, I don't know how relevant this example would be. Suppose if someone buys a, say, digital or a virtual plot on, say, Linking Road in Mumbai and can turn it into a big multi-designer store in the metaverse. And then in that place, they can have these various brands showcase their collections that can result in sales also through links or through, I don't know, through mediums.
True.
And you can have avatars of influencers probably doing a fashion show or promoting some brand. And I think because we all are getting so engaged to technology, in fact, even our parents are completely on the digital platforms now. So I think it is possible. I mean, I feel that eventually these things could lead to a huge rental markets in metaverse. In fact, in the West, there are a few sites, third-party sites, who have started doing smart contracts already for these digital land, basically brokerage of you can lease a digital land from someone for something, probably to showcase your NFTs. I don't know.
But to be honest, that's the most relevant example that I've seen which could actually come true in terms of, I mean, something in virtual reality actually having a true impact in terms of sales or whatever it is, whether it's apparel or anything. but having a true impact in the actual world, being able to bridge that connection between the two realities is, I think I couldn't have thought of a better example, to be honest. That was an amazing one. Okay, so coming to my last question. I think you have clearly mentioned earlier that brokers form an inseparable part of the RE ecosystem, more so in Paradigm. So what do you think of the position of startups such as No Broker?
It's something which I'll tell you, real estate is, I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about West, but if I have to, in fact, just tell about the Mumbai market, micro market, it is very B2B. Even for the top brands, I can easily say 50 to 60% at least is B2B. When I say B2B, it is through channel partners, through all these. Whether you look at any of the big aggregate partners. So for us at Paradigm, 70 to 80%, as I said, it's clearly there. I mean, we completely work with brokers. And this will not change also much, which I personally believe is because, see, understand, I don't know much about No Broker, but what I've understood out of the platform is it's good for maybe leasing between buyer to buyer, buyer to buyer, leasing of some property, sale of some property. But imagine for a developer coming on No Broker, I want to, suppose I come out with a project with an inventory of 500 units. What would be my success mantra is to have a good sale in the first 90 days of launch, right?
Of course.
That outreach in today's day and age happens for me or any of the brand is through the CP network, the account management of the CP network that the companies have. And our 70 to 80% success of the launches happens through that. Now, how would No Broker would ensure that, if there's a launch of a developer, distributing it to those relevant buyers who will be rigged for a launch and would be attracted to our project or a site, and that would result into a great success mantra for developer. So I have not heard about it as of now, but they will have to evolve the technology. They will have to evolve their technology and give a huge lead generation for a developer. So then that B2C connect through No Broker can happen. Right now it is consumer to consumer. Business to consumer is something which I don't know if it's happening on No Broker. And I don't see it happening so easily also.